Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into some common ideas about money.
That's right, those beliefs,
Yeah.
the ones that float around and maybe hold people back without them even realizing it.
Exactly. And we're looking at these through the lens of excerpts from a really interesting source, Shattering Money Myths, a guide to financial freedom.
Yeah, it offers some, let's say, counterintuitive takes on things we often just accept.
So our goal here is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Unpack these common money myths, see what this particular source says to challenge them, and hopefully help you get a clearer view for your own financial path.
Let's jump in.
Okay. First up, this is a big one. Money doesn't bring happiness. You hear it all the time, and, well, it sounds right, doesn't it?
It does. It really resonates because, we instinctively feel happiness is about more than just cash, love, connection, purpose.
Right.
But the source makes a really important point here. It agrees money alone isn't happiness, sure, but it argues money is a vital tool.
A tool? How so?
A tool that provides tangible things like security, which is huge, opportunity, and maybe most importantly, peace of mind.
Okay, peace of mind. So it's not about, directly buying joy, but maybe buying freedom from certain kinds of unhappiness, like the stress of debt.
Exactly. Think about it, an unexpected medical bill, losing your job suddenly. Having a financial cushion doesn't magically make you happy per se,
Fair.
but it absolutely removes a massive layer of stress and anxiety. It gives you options, breathing room. That stability is a key component of well-being.
Okay. That reframes it quite a bit. It's less idealistic, maybe more practical.
Precisely. It acknowledges the practical realities of life where money, or the lack of it, plays a significant role in our daily stress levels.
All right, let's move to the next one. This feels almost like a work ethic mantra. To make money, you must work hard. Effort's obviously key, but is that the whole picture according to this source?
Well, the source definitely doesn't dismiss hard work. Effort is fundamental. But it argues pretty strongly that just grinding away, working harder and harder, that's not always the main driver of building wealth.
Okay, so if it's not just sheer effort, what else is critical?
It highlights things like creativity, finding new solutions, also constantly learning new skills to increase your value, and crucially, smart money management, what you do with the money you earn.
So it's not just about the hours you put in, but the value of those hours and then being smart afterwards.
Exactly. Think about, say, someone working 2 minimum wage jobs, incredibly hard, long hours, versus someone who maybe invested time learning a high-demand skill, works fewer hours but earns more, and then invests a portion of that wisely.
Right. The leverage is different.
Totally.
Yeah.
The source really pushes this idea of working smarter, leveraging your knowledge, your skills, and managing your resources effectively. It's about efficiency and strategy, not just brute force.
That definitely shifts the focus, which brings us nicely to this next idea. Getting rich is mostly about luck. Winning the lottery, inheriting a fortune, or just being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, that's a common one. We often see the flashy success story and assume there was some kind of magic or pure chance involved, maybe because it makes us feel better if we haven't achieved that level ourselves.
Perhaps. But what does the source say? Does it debunk the luck myth?
It pushes back hard. It argues that while luck can play a role, maybe an opportunity presents itself, it's rarely the deciding factor for the vast majority of wealthy individuals.
So what is the deciding factor then?
The source points to things like continuous learning,
Yeah.
deliberate, focused effort over a long period, and really importantly, persistence, not giving up when you hit roadblocks or failures.
So what looks like an overnight success or luck from the outside is often the result of years of groundwork that we just didn't see.
Exactly. It's about building the skills, the knowledge, the network, the discipline, so that when an opportunity does arise, you're actually prepared to recognize it and act on it. It's less about random chance and more about, creating your own luck, the preparation.
Okay, that's empowering. It puts more control back in the individual's hands.
It does. It shifts the narrative from passive waiting for luck to active creation of opportunity.
Let's talk investing now. A lot of people feel investing is dangerous and only for the rich. There's this fear, this perception that it's some exclusive club you need tons of money and insider knowledge to join.
That fear is real for many. The jargon the market swings.
Mm-hmm.
It can seem really intimidating. But what's interesting is how the source tackles this. It reframes investing completely.
How so? It doesn't deny the risk, does it?
No, it acknowledges risk is inherent. But it stresses that investing is fundamentally a learnable skill, like learning to drive or cook. takes education and practice.
A learnable skill. Okay.
And crucially, it emphasizes that it's accessible to almost everyone, even if you're starting with very small amounts of money. The barrier isn't really wealth. It's often that perceived complexity or just, fear of the unknown.
So you don't need like a finance PhD or a huge inheritance to even get started. What's the path in, according to the source?
The key advice is educate yourself first. Learn the basic principles: diversification, compound growth, long-term thinking. You don't need to be an expert overnight.
Right. Learn before you leap.
Exactly. Then start small. Seriously small, if needed. Nowadays, with things like low-cost index funds, fractional shares, or micro-investing apps, you can literally start with just a few dollars. The point is to get started, build a habit, and learn as you go. Consistency over time is more important than a big initial sum.
That makes it sound much less scary, much more doable.
That's the goal. Demystify it and show it's within reach.
Okay, finally, the myth that really taps into consumer culture. Spending is a sign of success. We see it everywhere. Luxury cars, big houses, expensive clothes, presented as the ultimate markers of achievement.
Oh yeah, this one is deeply ingrained in our society, isn't it? The pressure to look successful.
Definitely. How does the source challenge this?
It cuts right through that superficial layer. It argues that real financial success isn't measured by how much you spend, but by achieving financial freedom. A very different benchmark.
Financial freedom. Okay,
Yeah.
unpack that a bit. What does that mean in this context? Not just having expensive stuff.
Right. It means having options, having security. It means your money is working for you, giving you choices about how you spend your time, rather than being trapped in a cycle of earning just to spend and maintain appearances.
So it's more about control and security than consumption.
Precisely. And the path to that freedom, according to the source, isn't reckless spending. It's through conscious, purposeful spending. Spending that aligns with your actual long-term goals, like saving, investing, building that security cushion we talked about earlier. It's about making your money serve your life goals, not just impress others.
That's a powerful distinction. Spending with purpose versus spending for show.
Exactly. One builds freedom, the other can often build debt and stress, even if it looks successful on the surface.
So if we connect all these threads, these 5 myths we've talked through, what's the big picture emerging from this source material?
I think the overarching theme is just how incredibly powerful and limiting these common, often unexamined beliefs about money really are.
Limiting how?
They shape our behavior, our decisions, our willingness to take certain actions like learning about investing or asking for a raise, often without us even being consciously aware of it. They create these invisible walls around what we think is possible for us financially.
Right. So the core message then is
It seems to be that recognizing these myths, actively questioning them, and consciously choosing to replace them with more empowering and, frankly, more accurate beliefs, that's the absolute critical first step.
the starting point for any real financial progress.
Yes, because it's about changing your mindset, shifting from a mindset potentially rooted in fear or scarcity or misconception to one based on possibility, knowledge, and agency.
And this matters directly to you, the listener, because, well, your personal beliefs about money are driving your financial bus, whether you realize it or not.
Absolutely. They influence how you earn, save, spend, invest,
Nay.
everything. Understanding and potentially shadowing these myths can genuinely unlock potential you didn't know you had.
It opens up new pathways, new strategies.
Definitely.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, drawing from the source's main point about challenging beliefs, maybe a final thought for you to consider.
Yeah, building on that, here's something to maybe chew on. What's one deeply held belief you personally have about money? Maybe one we discussed, maybe another one that you could start to just question or explore a bit more based on our conversation today.
Just starting that questioning process could be really revealing.
It really could.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into shattering some common money myths.
Hope it gave you some food for thought.